in need of men who will be men today.
Hello, everybody. This is SP. Welcome to The Formula. We have Nick Josey here today. I am so excited to talk to him because we are talking money and finance, and he leads a nonprofit, the Vincita Institute, which I am excited to talk about and learn more about because I think that's something that's highly lacking. You know, we have Marquis back in full effect. How you doing?
What's going on, SP, man? SP is like probably it's one of the best co-hosts you're gonna have, the best, people in your life, in your circle, man, that you're gonna have, man. So I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to interview Nicholas Josey, man. Like, and first of all, you already know I'm all about finance. I'm all like, I try to incorporate it wherever. We could be talking about NWA, but I'm like, you know what? About finance. You be like, how the hell he flip that? So I'm very excited about Nick being here, man. Nick, won't you tell us about yourself, man? Introduce yourself, man. You're like I always tell people, you're the best person to introduce yourself and get us acquainted on who you are.
But before you do,
I'm sorry.
How are you? How's life treating you?
Oh yeah, that's too. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm getting excited. I'm ready to talk about money. You see me already. I'm excited.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. Life is good, healthy, happy. It's a blessing to be here. So I'm glad to be able to hang out with you guys for a little bit and compare notes. So this is another blessing. So I'm just glad to be here.
Amen. Just like Marquis said, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How you, where you're from, and how did that affect what you chose to do with your life?
Okay. And those are all good questions. And then, I'm Nick Josey, Nicholas Josey for people who are not familiar with me, but you can call me Nick Josey. I love you. But I'm from Boston. We travel. I was in the military family. My mom, we travel around the country. But then we got a chance to stay here. I was raised by my aunt and uncle in Roxbury, Mass. And but I'm into financial literacy. And about 19 years ago, I started a nonprofit called the Vincita Institute. But before that, I spent 10 years in the industry selling stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the different types of insurances, life insurance, disability insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance. So I had a lot of experience selling those things. And I traveled around the country for the companies I worked for, selling to their company employees. So let's say that I can't use company names. But let's say an IBM. IBM had products with my company. I go in there, I speak to their employees about using more of my company's products and services and things like that. But 19 years ago, I said, listen, this is all well and good to speak to people who know about these things. And it's easy selling them. It's not really selling them. It's like, look, this is our stuff. Go ahead and buy it. It was easy. But I said, I wanted to speak to more people that look like us who didn't have this option. They didn't have this exposure to these types of things, the stocks, the bonds, the mutual funds. I said, let's speak to people in our community about this. And so I got off the road and I started, we set up the Vincita Institute. But what was interesting is this. There's a bigger meaning to us starting the Vincita Institute. Years ago, I had an older brother. I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. Mm-hmm. And years ago, I had a brother that didn't come back home.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And we take this for granted. As in life, we take for granted. We say, I love you, or I'm mad at you, or clean up your room and all this other stuff. We assume that we have tomorrow to say these things and do these things. And I'm mad at you because you took my bracelet or you took my gold chain. But do you want that to be the last thing you said to that person? So we never know. So when my brother didn't come back home, My father, being the proud man that he was, he got enough money for the service, but he didn't have enough money for the burial. So well, I didn't know this, but when you don't have enough money for the burial, they put you in what they call Potter's Field. Potter's Field is where they told me derelicts, indigents, and bums. I was like, that was nuts. We were just broke.
Dang.
So it's no grave marker. No grave marker. Some cemeteries have a special place earmarked with this. You'll see no grave markers, but that's where they put homeless people. That's where they people who didn't have enough money for the the pay for the burial. They call that Potter's Field. So I'm learning this at a really early age. Like, man, now he was my superhero. My oldest brother was my superhero. Fighter, defender. He took care of his, and he looked out for us. But when time came, there wasn't. You're 23 years old. You're not thinking about you need to have life insurance. Well, I learned at an early age. Yeah, we got to have something, and so that's what prompted me to get into the industry to begin with, to sell the products. Make sure everyone has this. I'm selling from my heart. I'm not selling because I need to make the money. I'm selling from my heart. Like, listen. You need to have this because life is not guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Make sure you have something. And a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. So hence, I said I did that for 10 years. I sold, but then the last 19 years, we've been educating people so that they can make better informed decisions from a financial perspective.
So basically your inspiration is your passion behind it. And you have a great story behind it. And the reason to reflect and to actually have that interaction and to love what you do. RIP to your brother, you know what I'm saying? Condolences and stuff like that, man. It's not like you said, you never know if you have tomorrow. You never know those circumstances, man. So I heard something a while ago about life insurance. Someone was talking about, I follow a lot of positive people, a lot of, influential people to keep my energy up. Right. And, some individuals said, and I can't quote verbatim, but he said something about how if all Black people had life insurance, at least life insurance companies would care about the Black community and they wouldn't have cops. They would be against cops killing us. They would be against Black on Black violence. They'll be against anything that's going on because these insurance companies would have to pay out all this money. If every Black person was insured, even if you're a hood person in the streets or whatever you call yourself, if you was insured for anything, maybe 50,000, it don't have to be a lot of money, but if these insurance companies consistently paying out insurance policies, they're gonna be like, hey, they're gonna be on the news saying we love Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what do you think about that? Like, if you think that's something, like you said, you're passionate about everybody having life insurance. What do you think about that theory? I'm quoting.
I can't refute it, but the deeper thing is this: when you got people who have jobs. Now, don't laugh at me, but I say you got a job. Says yeah. I said, well, that means you just over broke, right? Because they're not giving you those big raises. They just like you get that little. But what I'm saying is this: if you stuck in a rat race, the system that I've studied over the last 30 plus years, I've noticed that in our community, they encourage us and basically taught us to be consumers. Okay, they will. I mean, we have people at Christmas time, the holiday time. They got the mile long, and then they say you can buy this 90-inch TV for $20, and then you got a mile long. But then when you get in the store, there's only 2 available. But people in the community, they have purchasing power, but not savings discipline.
Exactly.
Okay. So combined together, we have incredible purchasing power, but they never speak to you or encourage you about savings. Why? Why is that?
No, 100%.
because it doesn't benefit them. I'm asking people, and I'm going to answer your question too. I'm asking people to take personal inventory. Go back to the basics. Our family's from North Carolina. My family is, and you know, dirt floor, dirt poor. But what they said was, each generation has to do bigger and better things, and remember where we came from. Okay, we didn't just start out what they say. We didn't just start out on third base. We had to work for every single thing that we got. So if it wasn't the previous generation, we encouraged the next generation to do that. So to answer your question with regards to insurance, I think there would be some positive changes, but let me explain something to you. There's a benefit to people being uninformed about these basic things. Life insurance is one thing, but what about investments? What about, I ask people to save money for emergencies, because you hear about all this road rage. That's because people are stressed. Okay, they're one paycheck away from some really tough times. One dude wants to call in dead. He's, can I call in dead? No, you can't call in dead. Come into work.
Yeah. No, you're right. 100%.
Like, how many sick days? Ran out of sick days. Can I call in dead? But the thing is I'm asking people to save your money. I want you to have 3 months, 6 months of all your bills liquid. I'm not saying you have to do that right now, but every time you spend money, okay, that money doesn't come back. Okay, but when you save it or invest it, that has potential for growth. Mm-hmm. So I ask people, I just have 5 things I ask people to do. I don't really care about anything else. I say, I ask 5 things I need you to do. I need you to save your money for emergencies, right? Because that reduces your stress. Because life is going to happen whether you like it or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could possibly happen in this life financially?
So much.
It could be something as little as that's what I was going to say, something as little as the motor going out on your car that will break you, because then you can't get to work. You can't make the money to pay for the car. So yeah.
You're still on your list, so I didn't want to answer, but right. keep going.
but what I'm saying is, they spend millions, and if not, I'll say millions of dollars in marketing to people to get you to what? Spend your money. They don't care if your lights are going out. They don't care if your car needs brakes. They just need to protect and help their financial bottom line.
But they're spending less now because of AI. They can just do a Facebook post and everybody answers. Now you're embedded in their system, and it naturally goes to your links about the new washing machine or whatever it is.
Okay, now check this out. Now, if Junebug and Ray Ray come around the corner and say, "Look, you know what, partner, kick it in. You know what time it is. Kick it all in. You hotter than a 45, man. They done got me."
Yep.
But let there be a sale at Macy's and see if people don't spend, or Nordstrom or whatever, and see if people don't spend all their daggone money and say, I'm listen, I don't care about how you look. I care about how you feel.
Bars.
If you don't remember anything else I say, okay, I want you to remember my 3 F's. My 3 F's. If you're not financing me, if I ain't making money off of you, I'm not going to leave my house, leave my family to go outside to spend money or to impress you. That's 1 F, right? So if you're not financing me, I'm not doing that. If you're not feeding me, right? If you're not feeding me, I'm not going to leave my family, go outside, try to impress you and spending money. All right? That 3rd F, you can figure that out. If we ain't up close and personal, Mama Bear right here, okay? Mama Bear's right here. Yeah. I ain't leaving my house to go outside to spend money to look good for you. So the thing is our community collectively needs to say, listen, we got to make some changes here, because you don't need 50 pairs of sneakers. Listen, we did that. We were young. A long time ago, we thought that was a sign of what? Wealth? No.
Wealth, yeah.
You can't take those sneakers and go on vacation now, can you?
Nope.
Okay. And the thing is wealth has a different wealth is not what you think it is. So
Oh, there's rich,
if
there's
you,
rich and there's wealth. There's two
okay,
different.
Yeah.
Black people know about being rich. They don't know about wealth, and that's why we have you on the show.
I'll tell you this: when you see Bill Gates wearing platinum chains, you follow Bill Gates. When you see
You would
Warren
never do that.
Buffett wearing
Never.
platinum chains, because let me explain something to you. They don't, folks who doing that, you can't steal someone's peace of mind, and you really can't steal people's assets. A car is not an asset; it's a liability.
Yes.
If you have a car note and you paying interest on that, that's not yours.
Unless
If
you're doing
anyone
Uber or Lyft, but yeah, you can make it an asset and make
okay,
money off
but
your car. But yeah,
if you
yeah,
paying interest, if you're paying interest to somebody on their books, they're like, hey,
liability. Yeah,
listen,
liability. Yeah.
that's my asset. That's your liability. But that doesn't a car does not appreciate in value. Now Uber and Lyft, that's a business. That's a different thing. But just a
Yeah.
personal car that doesn't put money in your pocket, come on. Okay, but our clothes, we buy clothes, we want to look good, want to look flashy. Listen, after they sell this, they're off this. They're creating the next big thing. Just like these new phones, I spend $100 for a phone. Okay, this phone makes me money, but I'm not gonna spend $1,500 or $2,000 for a daggone phone. Okay, but my phones make me money. I will invest money into a phone. I'm not going to spend money that's not going to come back to me.
Exactly.
Okay. So
I've
anytime
had,
you spend money, it doesn't come back. But when you invest your money, there's a potential for it to come back. So clothes, shoes, cars, fancy eating out, all that other buzz. When you spent that money's gone. But they don't speak to our people about the importance. Like, listen, you can take $25 a month, $50 a month, put it in an investment account, and let that grow, and then you'll have something more in a year from now. But they don't. But the thing is if you in a, I'll tell you another thing, and I say this often. I'm here in Boston, so we have some really large investment companies. They do not advertise to people in the community.
Mm.
Okay, because like you just said about the insurance thing, if they saw people of color buying more insurance, you know they're going to embed, they're going to advertise to those folks, right?
mhm.
They don't see people of color in the inner city community investing in. You can throw a stone from the hood to where this investment company is. That's how close they are. They will
Damn.
not put a billboard up. The billboards that you see, are they asking you to save money or spend money?
Spend, 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 spend.
Okay, but they're not asking you to invest the money. Why is that? In the hood, people of color, strong.
They know they researched this for years and they pretty much have us hypnotized. So they know how they still kind of mentally control us. SP, you had a question?
Yeah, I was thinking about kind of about what you said about the phones. I'm still rocking my 2010 Samsung 9.
Okay,
I, I have noticed that for me, I view everything through hip hop. So that was my aversion to the bad boy era because it felt like it was going to be it became all about money, and I think that corporate greed kind of sense is being fed through the music. How do you start to push that back and really set people's minds to know the difference between wants and needs?
you hit the nail right on the head. You just, boy, don't get me started. I say this all the time, and I touched on it. I'm going to make sure I finish the thought. There's 5 things I ask you to do: savings, insurance, investments, retirement, estate planning. That is your financial profile. How full it is or how empty it is up to the individual. And if it's full, you have peace of mind. If it's not so full, then you got something to work on. But nobody, so the thing is people always, you can't judge a book by its cover. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Okay? He just looks like an average Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay? He doesn't have anything to prove. And the thing is I think sometimes, and I looked at the psychology that, our folks, Black and brown folks, have been down for so many years. We want to tell the world, we're good. Yeah, I'm good. And I want to drive this fancy thing. And listen, let me explain something to you. If someone's writing your check and you drive, let's say you make $70,000 a year, but you pull up into the parking lot with a $50,000 car. They're like, we got him. Because he can't miss no payment.
Yep.
He can't miss no payments. And so, SP, when we talk about, I always talk to people about the importance of separating your wants from your needs. Now, when you do that, let's go back to the old school way. Okay, when we were coming up, we had a house. Okay, we had we had shelter, we had food, we had utilities, and we had a little pocket change. And that everything that we needed came out of those 4 things. We didn't have all this fancy dancy stuff, right? But if we go back to the basics and say, listen, this is what I absolutely need to make it. Even if you throw in your transportation budget, because in Texas, you need a car. So you need to have that transportation budget, a dependable vehicle. Doesn't need to be a 2025 vehicle. It just needs something to be dependable, that you don't end up in the shop every 5 minutes. And if you just stick with what the basics, you'll have money to put aside for emergencies. You'll have money to do all those other things I told you about, those 5 things: savings, insurance, investments, retirement, and estate planning. You can fill up your buckets. And every time you spend money, you take money away from one of your buckets. Which one are you going to take money from? Your peace of mind, your savings? You need money for savings, right? You need to make sure that we're not getting out of this thing called life alive. And the way insurance works is if you have $20,000 right there, then you don't need insurance. But if you don't, because insurance is just for this, it covers the things that you can't cover yourself. If you have a mortgage, that's what insurance is for. If you left here yesterday, I'm talking about what's your exit strategy? And Chris Rock, he was funny. He said, when some people, when they leave a will. When other folks, sometimes Black folks, when they leave a bill. What's wrong with that picture?
100%.
Okay.
No, 100%. And Chris Rock is correct. And you're correct. So when is it time to teach our kids, man, about finance and about money?
Yesterday.
Man? Yesterday. And I'm talking about ages too. Like as soon as they come out the womb, are you talking to the? I ain't gonna lie. I was talking straightforward to my daughter as soon as she was born, and I never did the baby Google talk. But like once she was able to learn about anything, I was teaching her, especially about finances and money.
I'll tell you something funny. Big family. We had those station wagons that was like a mile long. They stuck us in the back. They stuck us anywhere. We didn't have no seatbelts, right? And my game was, I sit in the back, and I say, Mommy, I like that. Oh, that's good, baby. That's good. Mommy, Daddy, I like that. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. And then I say, Daddy, I want that. Get a job.
I want that. Get
stuff
a
got
job.
real.
Wait.
Stuff
it ain't
got
fun
real.
No more. Yeah.
But the thing is this: we need to have these conversations with us. I believe in the top-down mindset. I don't believe in teaching from the ground up. I believe in educating our folks and then letting them speak to our young kids, letting them understand, listen, if you want something, you're not just going to lay here. I'm old school, so we had chores. We couldn't even turn TV on until all our chores are done.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
And punishment was you had to stay inside.
Oh, we wanted to go outside.
Yes.
It's opposite now. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I think now we got to push kids out and they can't have their phone. They can't have their video games, all that stuff. Push them outside and let them try to survive that way. But the thing is this, we have to give these kids, listen, whenever you get something, whenever you get $1, because whatever you do with $1, you're going to do with 10. You're going to do with 100. So I have a 10, 20, 70 rule. And I ask people, listen, whenever you get $1, remember this, 10%, it could be time, talent, or treasure. Do something for somebody else. Okay? You got to do something for somebody else. Even if you don't have money, do something for somebody else. Why? Because it always comes back. People, they talk about karma, right? They always talk about the bad aspect of karma, meaning if you do something to somebody, that's coming back to you. Wait, karma. I said, I'm looking forward to karma because I do things for people. You don't count the cost, you don't talk about, but do something for somebody else. That's your 10%. Now, listen, if the guy's sitting out on the ground outside the liquor store, use your gift of discernment. That might not be the guy you will give you 10% to.
Yeah. Maybe not to him, but somebody else.
Maybe not to him.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's nothing wrong with being outside the liquor store, but you want to be a good steward of your resources.
Choose your battles.
And then if you can, 20%, save it. As soon as you get your $1, 20%, that's 20 cents. That doesn't sound like a lot, but 20 cents goes towards your emergency fund. The other 70% goes to take care of your bills in those buckets I just gave you. These are 5 buckets. You take care of your housing, your food, your all your other essentials with that other 70%. And if you can save more, do more. I encourage, there's no such thing as saving too much money. There's no such thing as too much peace of mind. You with me?
So I think part of the problem is the education gap. So I'm a nurse, and there's a lot of times that I'm in the patient's room and the doctor is talking to the patient, and I could see their eyes just glaze over and they stop listening because you've had a cerebral vascular accident, and they atherosclerosis, and they start using medical jargon that just goes over people's heads. And then you just start glazing over, and you because you can't grasp what people are trying to say to you. So what I loved about reading about you is that you use simplified jargon to make people understand. How important is that in educating our community?
You know what? Sometimes, and I mean, I might get yelled at for this, but sometimes people, they use all the technical terms to make themselves sound more important than what they really are. Now, like I said, I'm a city boy with country roots, and there was times when I get into a little trouble. My aunt who raised me, my aunt and uncle, they raised me. When I came home, I had to explain myself. They said, don't give me all that fancy dancy stuff. Give it to me, break it down to me. So clearly I stayed in a little mischief, so I had to break down a lot of things. And that helped me to become a more effective teacher. Now, let me explain something to you. My aunt, she was the matriarch of our family. She was smart. She had mother wit like nobody's business, and I still rely on her wisdom these many years later after she's left. But the thing is, I don't like it when people use technical terms when you can use a simple term. And the thing is if you know that you're speaking to strong, resourceful, resilient people, give it to them the way they need to get it, and then they got it. For example, golf. They didn't think that folks could be, of color could be in golf. But guess what? It's not just Tiger Woods, but there are other people of color. You explain the concept, right? We're off and running. But if you never explain the concepts to us, you don't even give us a chance to get in the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I've always loved about hip hop, when you and kind of what I love about Jay-Z. Jay-Z has a way of taking the streets and turning finance on its ear and making you understand what it really is. He had a song where he was talking about he had a chance to buy a building for 30,000 and somebody just sold it for 30 million. And how big of a loss that was if he had have been in that frame of mind to buy property instead of jewelry. So we tend to, our community tends to have to see their money. You know, investment is hard because you don't see it. You know, I can see that gold chain. I can see them diamonds. I can see those rims. So how do you change that mindset where you understand that even though you can't see it, it's building and it's growing?
I make it plain and simple. Things that you can wear and see, they aren't assets. See, we have doohickeys and doodads and knickknacks, right? The earrings, the gold chains, the clothes, the cars, and all. That's just knickknacks. And the thing is this: if you can't steal an asset ordinarily, so if I have an investment account, if I have a bank account, they can't. I mean, you got some crooks doing some crooked stuff, but you got some protection too. But for the most part, you can't steal my assets because I'm not wearing them. I don't, and I'll tell you this, and I want some of our folks to understand this. And I took my youngest daughter, this is many years ago, about 18 years ago. She did something really well in school. And now I'm traveling all over the country. And on weekends, I just want to have my 10-year-old jeans, my 5-year-old sneakers, and whatever. I'm with my little baby girl, and she, I have 3 daughters, but she was younger. She did her thing. She says, Daddy, I want to go to this particular store. I want to get this fancy dancy pocketbook. I'm not going to use the name, right? I don't want to get in no trouble.
Yeah.
So we're in, and she's telling me about all the different versions, this version, and they got the knockoffs in New York, but we're in the real store here, and I love this and this, and she's going on, and then I'm just listening. And after a while, I stopped listening to my baby girl. Now it takes a lot for me to stop listening to my baby girl because I'm reading the room now. Now we've been here for a little bit, but nobody came up to us. And then a couple minutes later, I hear a ding ding. Someone comes in. They don't look like us. And then they were greeted nicely. I said, Sweetie, did you see that? She says, Yes, Daddy, I saw that. I said, if we're not good enough to be greeted, they're not good enough for our money. So we took our purchasing power and left. See, we don't need them. They need us. And let me hip you to this. You hear about Black Friday, Black Monday, cyber this, cyber that. You only hear that towards the end of the year. Let me explain this to you. The fourth quarter is when you hear that because that's when companies are trying to become profitable. That's when Black is beautiful. If you're not in the black, you're in the red. That means you're not profitable. Yep. So that's when you see cyber this, Monday, black this, trying to get you to spend your money. That means that's how much power you have. They need you. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so in the pioneers of hip hop, they were saying a lot of positive things about money, but they just, these guys were incredible. Jay-Z is one of them, but there's so many wonderful folks in hip hop that were spreading truth. But some people would just focus on the entertainment and the beats, but they weren't listening to the lyrics, like what they were really saying. But the thing is that's another. We have to educate our people. Say, listen, if you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Let's talk about the oldest institutes, some of the oldest institutes in the world, banks, right? You know, everybody, black people are conditioned to put their money in the bank. Now, of course, we need banks for certain things, maybe to, you know, utilize to pay our bills. I'm not saying dismiss banks totally, but how do you get our community away from banks to a certain extent? Maybe like at least 70% of their money should be invested and not in banks. Like SP said, we like to see our money. We like to see it in the banks, but there's other banks. There's electronic banks that give us more of a high percentage rate to get our interest rates. There's investment companies, there's stocks, there's all types of things that you can put your money into that will double your money, triple your money. Are banks? Are you teaching people about banks being, I guess, old news in a sense? Like, what do you think about banks?
I like banks, like you said. We use them for certain things. Typically, it depends on where you are in that stage of life. Some people in our family, we stuck money under the mattress, okay, because they didn't trust banks. They had bad experiences. Some people grew up during the Depression when the banks failed. So, but the thing is, banks serve a purpose. Now, what's funny is this: if you ask yourself how much interest that you earn at your bank, they'll say less than 1%.
0.0000126 or something like that. Something crazy. It's so low, it's insane.
But now the same bank will charge a person 15, 18, 20% on their credit cards.
Or loans.
So the thing is this: people who understand interest, they earn it. Those people who don't understand interest, they pay it. So if you want to keep your emergency fund in the bank, you want to have liquid, easy access to it, great. Keep your 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses right there at the bank. But then we're going to do other things. We're going to start talking about the investments. We're going to talk about the stocks. We're going to talk about the bonds. And let me explain something to you. Not everyone can do. We didn't come out the womb running. So you don't do that same thing with investing. You got to start small. You go with moderate risk. Risk is a function of time and aggressiveness. And then you work your way up. So you might want to go low risk mutual fund, and then more risk, and then a high risk. And then you graduate to stocks, because you need to have a firm foundation when you talk about investing. Because most people, and I'll tell you another thing, another thing I need people to understand is stop using your debit cards everywhere. Let me explain something to you. OPM is other people's money, and you're going to win when you do that. If you don't have credit card balances, this works. If you don't have a credit card balance, I use my credit card everywhere. I'll tell you the reason why. Because if you see these skimmers that you hear about, and it happened to me a couple of years ago. I was buying gas, and I used my card, my bank card, and to make the transaction. Yeah. And I'm filling up my gas, and it stops at $48. I'm like, I know I can pump in like 50. I was like, no big deal. I have enough gas. It stopped at 48. But a few days later, I have these transaction alerts on my phone. So I saw a 15-cent transaction. Well, I'm sitting with a client. I'm like, I know I didn't just do that, but okay, no big deal. There was another 20-cent transaction. I'm like, and then there was a $1,500 transaction for DoorDash alcohol. I'm like, well, I don't even drink, so I know that wasn't me. So I had to call my institution real quick, say, hey, that's not me. They said, oh yeah, well, you know what? We're going to shut this down. We'll do the investigation, and we'll, at the investigation, we'll put the money back. I had to get a new card, all the other business. But guess what? When you use your credit card, you have zero liability, and none of your money gets tied up. So I take my money from my bank account and pay my credit card. Make sense? That's a safe transaction. I know money goes from my bank account to pay my credit card. That's a safe transaction. But you want to be careful about where you use your debit card, because it can tie people up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get comfortable with the idea of credit. 51. But the only credit that I've ever had was like car loans. or something like that. I've never even applied for a credit card
What?
because, well, I grew up at a different time. You paid cash for what you wanted. If you didn't have enough cash, you just didn't buy it. And that's kind of the way I've always been. If I didn't have enough cash to pay for it, then I just don't get it. So,
But that makes sense. That's smart. But I'm gonna give you that's
you need credit. You need credit to buy homes. You need credit. You need credit. Like the way he said it, the user, you need credit. But again,
but here's the thing. Here's how they get you. They say, and I know they try to trick people and they say, well, you need to have it. You need to keep a balance. No, you don't. They just need to see that you pay your stuff on a consistent basis. Sometimes I typically zero out on a monthly basis. So if I need to use a card I haven't used in a while, I'll buy a loaf of bread. They just want to see that you have, you pay your bills on time. That's one thing. The other thing is this: credit card companies are like people that sell you umbrellas. Okay. During sunny days, you don't need an umbrella, right? But during rainy days, when you really, really need it, they want to charge you the most for that umbrella. So the thing is when you need that credit, when you need to swipe that card, you don't want to use more than 30% of your credit, available credit anywhere. Because once you start using it, then they start bringing your credit card rating down. It's called your utilization. So you want to keep your credit utilization to under 30 or 0 if you can. And if you're paying them interest, so let's say you go to the store and you find this thing on sale, but you're paying on a monthly basis. If you pay all that interest, that's not on sale no more. So we got to get people to get out of debt, because debt is bondage. Debt is stress. How many people you know who are happily in bondage?
No, none. None, okay. Man. Not for 400 years we haven't. But yeah.
Okay. So I'm asking people to listen, change your mindset and change the game. You have the purchasing power. Everyone knows you have the purchasing power, but stop consuming and becoming more of an investor. And you do it slow and steady. You don't do anything. In every situation, our folks are in the stuff. You don't get into a situation overnight. You don't get out of it overnight. But slow and steady will win the race. If you weren't saving $25 a week or a month last week, today is the day that you can look. I'm going to save $12.50. That's everyone's peace of mind is different. It's like last week I wasn't saving $12.50 a week. Well, if you save $12.50 a week, that's $50 a month. That's $600 a year that you weren't saving before. And just do more of it. But just do it till it gets good to you. Like, man, I was eating out all the time and I didn't realize how much I was spending. Brown bag it. Some people call me frugal. Some people call me cheap, whatever it is. Don't call me for bill money.
It's frugal. Yeah. Don't call me for bill money. Okay.
What I'm saying is this. It's savings discipline. So I would brown bag it 4 days a week, right? When I was working for a company. And then I might splurge and 1 day a week I might go out and grab a bite to eat. But trust me, that's like $50, $75 you done saved for those 4 days.
No, 100%.
Mine was coffee.
So hopefully you cut it out.
Mine was coffee. I finally just bought a French press and I make coffee at home. But I was spending. If you think about it, you spend about $5 or $6 a day just on coffee in the morning. So
what about the snack? What about lunch?
Well, let's talk about the average person, because my next question is for somebody like SP. Like, the average person is getting coffee, getting cigarettes, whatever they doing, whatever their habits are. You gotta have discipline, like Nick said, to maybe cut Netflix for 6 months. Do something to accumulate. To get the savings, to get where you need to be in those 5 categories you were saying. Mm-hmm. But like, so say a person's in debt, you know what I mean? The average person's in debt, right? So they got the one job that is, they live in check to check. What do you tell these people? Do you tell them to eventually develop passive income? Like what are you telling these your clients or people that you love and admire? What are you telling these people, man?
So if people are up to here in debt, me having a conversation to them about generational wealth, dude, I'm up to here in debt. I can't hear you what you're talking about. So I'm asking you to say, listen, don't be afraid to contact those credit card companies and say, listen, I want to work with you. I need to first find out if you can give me a lower interest rate for a few months. That's one. Or if you have good credit, say, listen, I'm going to roll this balance into a card that has 0% for 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is. That means I'm paying pure principal. I'm paying that down. And then the rate at the end of that term, it goes up. Now, the other thing is this. You want to be careful about the credit card inquiries. You don't want more than 4 inquiries. So when you execute the plan, you don't want 50 million people hitting your credit cards, because when they looking at your credit background, it lowers it. If they see a whole bunch of it, they're like, oh, this person's desperate. That's not a good risk. So be mindful of and it stays on your credit for 2 years. So be strategic when you try to do this. Well, listen, and then I want to speak to these people. I want them to see if they can lower my interest rate for a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. Like, hey, guess what? It's funny. You should ask, but we just happen to have a special just for you, because you miss.
You're right. You're right. I did this before. Yeah, I called credit card companies. I got it lower or whatever. Yep.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Okay. And then what that allows you to do is get less and less in debt. Okay. And when you have less debt, it reduces your stress. And then, once that person is wiped that out. And then the thing is this, when SB was talking about, the wants and needs, I'm going to wrap up soon. When they talk about the wants and needs, every time you spend money, you take money away from your legacy. You take money away from money that would grow exponentially. So if you got those extra pair of sneakers, okay, that same $100 you could have put in an investment and watch that grow.
You spitting balls, man. You spitting balls, man.
6 months from now, how much of those sneakers going to be worth? Versus the same amount of money that you put in investment, that's going to grow. Okay? And so the thing is this. I say we're not trying to impress people. I'm not trying to impress you. So, mama bear, baby bear, we're good. So if we change the mindset, we change the dynamic.
So I have a question, and only because I'm a nurse, and I think about this a lot. People are just starting out. They're just starting as a new couple, and they don't have it together. They just, they get it together, but they don't have it together. I think, for me, I just think people need to start thinking ahead, and especially with family planning, because I think people are misinformed about how much it actually costs in today's society to raise children. And so when you talk about financial planning, does that ever become part of the discussion? Because I know y'all talk about the college funds and kids, but I think reproductive planning is a part of financial planning.
It's a big part. And when I sit down with couples, so like I said, my former life, I was a financial advisor, but as a financial coach, and it encompasses many other things too. But as a financial coach, those are the questions that we ask. So listen, you have to be on the same page, because sometimes you have to have that spiritual connection. You have that physical connection because you're together, but you have to have that spiritual connection. You also have that mental connection. Like, look, we're in this. This is a partnership, and you have strengths, and I have strengths. We're going to come together and we're going to conquer the world. And we're going to be on the same page as to, okay, listen, if we have children, is that part of our program, or do we want to build up assets and then have children? So we have to have love. Love is good, but love don't pay the bills. So we need to have real conversations in our community about what real love is. And love is about commitment and working together and working for a common cause. The other thing most of the time I talk about saving and a little bit of investment, but you know what? Retirement. I ask people, you have to put money away for retirement. Your coworker or a person that is sitting right next to you, they are not going to tell you that they're putting away 10, 15, 20% away in their 401k, their 403b. They're using IRAs, Roth IRAs. They're not going to tell you that because they may have spoken to someone who was black and brown and they said, you can't tell me. Look, I got it all. And then they said, okay, I'm sorry. So they chose a non-confrontational mode. They're like, okay, we ain't gonna say nothing else up. But they brown bag it. They don't wear the trendy clothes. They don't have the fanciest car. But you know what? They have bank accounts. They have savings accounts. They have retirement accounts. So when you're still working in your 70s, they left at age 59 and a half because they know they have access to that money at age 59 and a half without penalties. Okay. The next thing is this. We do a lot of estate planning where we draft wills. Many people say, well, I got 2 nickels to my name. Let me explain something to you. If you leave $50,000, $25,000, $50,000, you need to leave it to somebody. I have an Uncle Lou. He's not going to get my Al Green collection. It's in writing. Okay. Some people might not know who Al Green is, but also
I love Al Green. Come on, speak about it.
Okay. But you have to have an exit strategy. You have to put things in writing. Okay. Because if not, many of our folks, they are reactive versus proactive. Okay. I'm asking you to write this in advance. That's just your will. Let me tell you about the other thing you need. You need a durable power of attorney.
Ooh, trust.
That means if you are ever incapacitated yesterday, I'm not saying tomorrow, so I'm not wishing that on you, but if you were incapacitated yesterday, who's going to take care of your personal financial affairs? If you go up to the bank and say, listen, Uncle Ray is in the hospital and I need to pay his bills, but this is where he does his banking. He says, well, do you have a durable power of attorney? No, we talked about it. Well, there's nothing we can do for you, sir. So you need to have a durable power of attorney that takes care of your rent, your mortgage, your banking transactions, your financial transactions, anything. So the power works is I can do the same thing so long as that this person can do who's incapacitated, so long as they are alive. Mm-hmm. If they are no longer alive, I lose that it loses its power. Then I'm relying on the will. The other thing is this, and you know about this, SP, is the health care proxy. Once again, I get people they have cognitive impairments or memory issues, and the family calls me and says, Nick, can you give Uncle Gus a power of attorney document? Can you draft that up? It's like, no. Are there any impairments? Yeah, he's a little dementia. No, I can't do it. You have to be of sound mind when you draft all of these documents. And the healthcare proxy is so important because we need to tell people what our wishes are. Because part of the Hippocratic Oath is first do no harm. That means they have to do whatever they can to prolong your life. But what if that's not your wish? Put it in writing then. Name someone that has your best interest in mind. So listen, if anything happens to me, pull the plug. I love you. I know you got me. No, let me go. That's your healthcare proxy. Or do whatever you can to prolong my life.
Medical power of attorney.
Healthcare proxy.
Medical power of attorney. I'm big. I have a DNR. If I'm dead, just leave me dead. Don't be pressing my ribs in and breaking them, trying to resuscitate me. Because that's what resuscitation is,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, when you are resuscitated, they have broken your ribs. because imagine somebody doing that much pressure on your chest.
Yes.
So yeah, you need you need a medical power of attorney, and you need to make your wishes known. They already know if I'm no life support systems. I don't want any of that. If it's time for me to go, let me go.
But if you don't put it in writing, what do you got?
If I'm not
Nothing.
going to have any kind of quality of life, let me go. Because what good is it if I'm alive and I don't know what's going on around me? What kind of life am I living?
And you know, the last thing I ask people to do, and I'm with you, SP. The last thing I ask people to do is this: we are not getting out of this thing called life alive. You agree?
That's right.
100%. Yeah.
Well, Aunt Katie, she told me, she said, baby, only the good die young. You're going to be around a long time. So I don't know what she meant by that, but but what I'm saying is this: part of your exit strategy is taking the fear out of it. We've taken a number of clients to the funeral home and said, listen, what are your wishes? Spell it out, because
That's powerful. That's powerful because you're giving them a visual.
yes, because the thing is this: if we wait till Uncle Lou passes, right? We got tears coming out of our eyes. Who makes good decisions when they got tears coming out of their eyes?
Nobody.
Nobody.
That's right. I'm a hospice nurse. So pre-planning is a big part of what we do. You make the funeral arrangements ahead of time. That way, at the last moment when they're breathing their last, that's not going to consume you. You know what I mean? This is supposed to be a transition. It's not supposed to be a hindrance. It's not supposed to hurt. It's a transition. And so even now, I've already paid for my cremation. I already know that there's not going to be a memorial service because I just don't want people paying that kind of money. If you didn't see me while I'm alive, you don't need to see me dead. Just
No, you're speaking facts. You're speaking the truth. And you know, yeah, you got some niggas. I got another question.
So,
You got some?
yeah, I'm a hospice nurse, so pre-planning is so important. And I've had my plans in place since I was 28.
That's serious. That's serious.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of
so
people
important.
that age don't have that. That's one thing you do got that together, SP, and I gotta commend you on that. But Nick, real quick, like for you know, we've been talking about, you know, this, and other. But how do you develop productive habits, and how do you teach people to have those productive habits to get them on board to have those 5 elements? Yeah.
Typically, I speak for a couple of hours, and it's typically a 3-part series, 2 minimum. But the thing is this: you sometimes when you're talking about this, you're talking about something foreign to people. But you ask people to say, listen, take personal inventory, look at where you are. Are you where you want to be? And then is that incentive enough to make positive changes that are going to benefit you and those closest to you? You got to start somewhere. And every little bit, nothing lacks importance. If it's just $5 a week, that's your $5 that's in your win column. And then you're looking at things from a different perspective. So I'm asking people, whatever it is, whether it's savings, whether it's insurance, whether it's investments, whether it's retirement, it's your victory. They're all individualized. And you just got to do it. And if you're down here, just slowly but surely, every week, every month, make sure you're on the plus side, building up your financial profile. And that's what this is.
And learn to live. It's. I know everybody wants stuff in life, but how important is it to live below your means? I'm always getting flack because I'm always in just the tiniest apartment. because it's just me. I don't need all of that. I just need the efficiency. As long as my bed is in there, that's good enough for me. You know, I'm not flashy. It's just not who I am. But how do you convince people? Because everybody seems to have this idea in mind on what living well is. How do you get them to see that it's a, for instance, I have a friend, she's a travel nurse, she lives in her car. She's lived in her car for about 6 years now. But she goes around the country and she does nursing, and she takes that car and she lives in her car the whole time. She has gym memberships, that's where she takes her showers, and then she goes back to her car to go to sleep. And she's good doing that. It's just her.
Yeah.
But she has managed to save, that girl that's living in her car, she's managed to save a little over $1 million in 5 years. So how do you get people to see past what they say is the norm and learn to do things a different way in order to end up at the place they want to be?
As I said to you before, if people adopted my 3 F's, that would change the game right there, because you're not leaving your house to spend money to impress anybody. Most of our spending is spontaneous, impulsive, trying to do something to look good for other people who don't even care about you.
Yeah, they Instagram ready.
Okay? And the thing, let me explain something to you. Do you see Bill Gates posting pictures outside his Ferrari?
Hell no, I don't even know if he got one.
Okay?
We don't even know what his house was like.
He has the means to do that. But if you're actually doing it, you're not posting like that. So what I'm saying is I'm asking people to look at the reasons why, because the thing is this, there's a psychology that we have to change the mindset as to why you spend money and where you spend your money. Because you know full well it's not coming back. If you're spending money, it's not coming back. But if we change that narrative where we're investing more than we spend, then we have people like your visiting nurse, that traveling nurse, who saved a significant amount of money in 5 years. We have to get more people on board doing something very similar, making the sacrifices. You don't get to where you want to get to without making sacrifices.
You know what a hot topic is, Nick, man? You know, like you said, spending money, you know, like needs and wants and stuff. I really go by that. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that I taught my daughter, and I teach everybody when I give free financial advice. I'm writing in a financial book, actually. That's gonna be probably my 3rd or 4th book. But how do you convince people, I guess, not to be Instagram ready? Like you got people that they live for this. They think these Instagram photos of the people's lives, you know, the fast life, you know what I'm saying? You know, people living that fast life, you know, situation. How do you get people from, you know, mentally estranged from like thinking the fast life and thinking about the fast money? How do you get people to be more patient? Because I've been having this challenge with, you know, people in my circle, people in my family and friends. It's just like they just don't, it seems like they don't get it. I don't know if they're brainwashed, they get it brainwashed continuously every day through music, through news, or whatever it is. I don't know. But it seems like they can't break the habit and eventually, you know, do these 5 things, do these 3 things. And then the other question I got, you know, to go off that is, how do we get them to spend money in the Black community? How do we get them to spend Black money on Black money? You know what I mean? Because that's another thing. That's a hot topic in the Black community. They always be like, oh, Black companies don't do this. Black people companies don't do that. Black people companies don't got great, you know, whatever, you know, customer service rates or whatever. Like, but like, how do you get us to spend our money that's needed to spend, you know, go in a circle of Black company? You know what I'm saying? How do you do that? And like, do you bring back the green book? Can we bring back the green book and do it digitally? You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, but here's the thing: every group, except many Black and brown groups, spend money amongst themselves. We have groups that just came here. They may not be fluent in English, but they know how to work within their group. They spend money amongst ourselves. We'll live 10 in this house. We'll save up all our money. We'll buy this house, and then the next time we'll go to the next house, and we'll 10 of us, and we'll buy that next house. But the thing is this: most people want that instant gratification. And when I'm speaking in front of a group of 200 folks, I'm not going to reach all of them. And I understand that, because some people want that instant gratification. But for the 190 that are listening to me, they're going to feel it, they're going to receive it, and it's going to touch them in a positive way where they can say, I can work with this. This makes sense. And that's the reason why I speak more than once, because first time they're just trying to feel me out, trying to say, like, well, does you know what you're talking about? And then after, it's like, it's kind of hard to repeat a lie. If you come back and I'm saying the same exact thing, and then you really hear me, you really feeling me, that's when you want to do something. It's like, okay, because I'm speaking the truth, because I'm not speaking from an ivory perch. I'm talking about, listen, we've had experiences. We've been in the trenches together. I'm speaking to you about stuff that you've experienced. And many times people don't want to talk about it because they talk about their house, their cars, their kids, their bosses, but they don't want to talk about their finances. I talk about all the things people don't want to talk about, because if we don't talk about it, nothing changes.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. It's hard to convince people that that want a certain kind of lifestyle, that the people who have that lifestyle they didn't just wake up with it. That was it was a marathon, not a sprint. It's a certain level of entitlement that you are entitled to certain things in life. And I remember my grandmother, she used to tell me, America says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It didn't say you had the right to be happy. It just said you had the right to pursue it.
Facts.
So you're not entitled to nothing in this life. You it's all in what you make it.
Yes. And, we have to celebrate our strength, our resilience, remember where we come from. And then the thing is the youngsters, they look at this instant, they want, they don't understand that it took many, many years for us to get this gray hair, to get this wisdom. They just want it. They can never get this. If they go, they just can't get it the way we got it. And we are fortunate because we have a previous generation that loved us, uplifted us, and encouraged us. So we have to continue to uplift and encourage the next generation, but speak the truth to them, because we're doing them a huge disservice when they think it's going to happen instantly, and then they're just devastated that it didn't happen yesterday. But we have to, no matter what, we have to stay true to ourselves and true to form as we impart this knowledge to the next generation, and hopefully some of them will get it.
But I'm really passionate about, like, spending Black dollars. You know what I mean? And like, and if I mentioned the Green Book. I don't know if anybody knows about the Green Book, but the Green Book was back in the day when we were slaves, or we got broken from whatever slavery. I think we're still enslaved. But you know what I mean? When we broke away from slavery, we would drive. Say we go to Connecticut. We that's the first thing we got from a Black organization, Black company, was a Green Book. So we knew where to go. We knew where the Black business was. We knew where to spend the Black buck. So we could do that now. I would love to start working on at least the Boston one, and hopefully other cities and states will start putting it online. Because if I go to Texas to visit SP, I should be able to look online, like, oh, okay, this is a Black business right here. If I spend my money here, I'm supporting the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the reason the Green Book kind of went away is because The Green Book was so we wouldn't get lynched trying to use
No,
the
I
white
understand why
on
the Green Book
what.
was in effect. I'm just saying we can bring it back and utilize it
So,
now to
yeah, I
spend
think
black bucks.
yeah, I think they do have those sites online. They do have black owned business sites online where it's a community of black owned businesses, and I can't remember the name of the website off the top of my head, but he has compiled black
That's the
business.
problem. We don't know about heart like Amazon. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I know it because it's embedded in my search engine, but I just can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of it because I'm 51 and I don't remember shit.
But let me run this.
I
Let me
don't
run
know
this
who
by
I
you.
am half the time.
Let me run this by you. I'm gonna go back to the conditioning aspect. I told you different groups, they will spend money within their own and keep it that way. But by conditioning, people would, let's say, like, we do business, we do consulting, and if they say, okay, well, can Vincita do this? So yeah, we can do it. Well, can we get a hookup? Now,
The black people, yeah.
like, wait a minute,
Exactly.
would you go to this prominent investment company or this consulting company and ask for a hookup?
Nope.
But because you and I are the same color, you think that I need to give you a hookup. We got to take care of our financial responsibilities just like everybody else. So, and then they think that our stuff is inferior because that's conditioning.
Condition.
So you live right here in the hood, right? You live in the hood, you get paid, and you can't wait to go downtown to spend your money. None of that downtown money is going to benefit your community. Not $1 you spend downtown is going to benefit your community. If you help your brothers and sisters in your community, you uplift them. You jump on the bus, car, the first thing smoking to spend all your money downtown. That's conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
because we had, I think we were conditioned to our neighborhoods were not thought of as long-term investment. Our neighborhoods were thought of as places to get away from. So when you were in the hood, your thought process was getting out the hood. That was your goal, was to get out of the hood. And so now everything is so separate. We're so separated and far between. It's kind of hard to have a set community where you are spending dollars and building a community because our communities are so disjointed now.
I'm with you. And another thing I want you to think about is not what you provide, but how you provide it. Presentation is everything. Now, I'll tell you, for example, sometimes if you drive by, walk by, or go by a business in the hood, they just give you any willy-nilly. They don't clean the windows. Their presentation is kind of, it is what it is. But that same type of company downtown, lights are on, the windows are nice and clean and meticulously maintained when you come in there. So I think that you can probably get folks in the hood to emulate some of the stuff that you see downtown, and maybe that could change the mindset. But because your presentation is everything.
Yeah, you're right about that. I like that.
And some people aren't good. So, example, I will go. Sometimes I'm traveling all over, so I'll go someplace and I get really good service. But sometimes you go to a fast food place in the hood and you're waiting 10, 15 minutes. In the suburbs, I wait 2 minutes, I'm out. But people are so conditioned to bad service, they don't even complete the surveys. Say, listen, we got to do better than this. This is not acceptable. And just talking, that's not doing it. Yelling at the person behind the counter, that's not doing it. The pen is mightier than the sword. The pen is mightier than your mouth. When they get enough surveys that says this service sucks, this consistently, things will change there. Or you say, you know what? I know what good service is. I'm not getting good service here. I'm going to take my purchasing power elsewhere where I will get good service.
Mm-hmm.
If you work hard for your money.
I was gonna say, what do you like? What do you find I guess the community, what are they most lacking with? Is it the patience of accumulating wealth? What are Black people usually lacking to get to the promised land, right? That's what we call it. You know what I mean? What are we lacking?
The information. No one's ever spoken to them. I speak to seniors all the time. They says, Nick, where were you 30 years ago? I said, I was playing with my G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip.
Exactly. Yeah. Me too.
But the thing is our people in the community were never exposed to this. And even today, they bypass people in the community as far as giving the information. That's all I'm saying.
And there's a trust issue because I know with my grandmother and my grandfather, they were adamant that banks were the devil. And they had life insurance, but they were adamant that banks were the devil and don't put your money in the bank. You put it in land and something that you can barter. So even like with my first car, my grandpa traded a coon dog and a rifle.
What? Yo, she always got a story, man. This story is crazy.
A coon dog and a rifle. Okay.
What are you talking? Like what?
For my first car, because that was their generation. They didn't believe in they bought stuff that was tangibly important for the area they were in.
Yeah.
And they didn't trust banks because so many times Black people got
shafted
by banks. Mm-hmm. Even with the school systems, my grandmother, she went to the 5th grade because that's as far as the Black school went. So there's a lack of education just in general about finance that you can't pass from generation to generation if the generation didn't have it.
Right. And now, like as my Aunt Katie said, a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. And today, you got to seize the opportunity. Every opportunity you can, because the thing is this. They sold you a bill of goods. They sold you debt was a good thing. You're nothing unless you have credit. You're nothing if you listen. You have to be responsible. Everything needs to be done in moderation. You can have a nice car. It doesn't need to be fancy. If I see another Maserati parked outside of a 10-unit apartment building, come on the street.
No, you're 100% right.
Okay.
They got better cars than like you said, Bill Gates or somebody like that, or Warren Buffett. We got better cars and chains or whatever you said, sneakers, than anybody that's actually a billionaire. That's insane. That doesn't make any sense. It's not adding up.
I always drove old cars. Now my dad was a mechanic. I love anything with an engine. I love to race cars, motorcycles, all the other business, but I know they didn't bring me any money. So I had an 86 Honda Accord in 2000. And I had another car, but I drove back and forth with my old Honda Accord. And what was funny with the psychology was, you don't own me. Now my car at home is a different story, but I drive my little 86 Honda Accord. That means I'm not overextended. You don't own me. And I have comfortable cash reserve. So that means you can't speak to me any old kind of way. Some people are one paycheck away from some really tough times, and they putting up with a lot of stuff they really rather not have to put up with, but they need it because they do that check. But once you change your vibe, once you have like that 6 months, you're like, excuse me, ain't that kind of partner? Ain't that kind of party partner? What was that?
Yeah, your whole personality changes. Yeah, 100%. It's like I told people when I first bought a home, and I told them I'm planning to buy various other homes. You know, people were looking at me funny, but when I did, and I didn't rely at to that on that check to check, because people are actually paying my rent now. You know, people were like they I changed. I don't say I changed my personality. My personality always been me. I always been confident and cocky in a good way, but I had maybe a little bit more. Like what? Would you say? You say something? You say something work? You say something job? Like, because I wasn't really scared to lose my job because I had the 6 months or the year savings. I had a home that I can, live in for free in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to change your mentality and your mind state, and so you can walk around with your chest out.
Yes. And or be humble.
I just want you to reiterate those important values that you think everybody should have before we close it out. Just what you think everybody needs to take away from today.
Okay. If don't capture anything else, these 5 things are your individual financial profile. Nobody knows what's in your financial profile. Okay. This is all you behind closed doors. I need you to work on your savings for emergencies, because life is going to happen. And when you least expect it, it's going to happen. It's a series of pop quizzes. That's the way it works. So I want you to work towards, you may not be there yet, but work towards your goal is to have at least 3 months or 6 months of all your committed monthly expenses right here. Easy access. It's not tied up. It's not locked up. There's no penalties if you grab it. Okay. Typically, that's the reason why we use banks and savings accounts. If you graduate, you use money market mutual funds, but that's a different story. Liquid. Everyone who thinks they're going to die, you need to have a little bit of insurance. Okay. Don't leave a bill when you leave here, unless you really don't like people in your family. Then
we don't want no fish fries.
We don't.
No fish fries.
I'm not digging in the backyard to save you guys some money. So make sure, if you're living and breathing and you expect to die, make sure you have enough to cover the burial, the funeral expense, that type of stuff.
Cremation,
whatever it takes. Then we talk about explore options about in mutual funds. That's baby steps. Cash money market mutual funds, growth, international, and then we can talk about the stocks. If you're working, make sure that you put money away for retirement, 401k, 457 plan, 403b, whatever it is. Put a little something away for your retirement, because at some point you're going to stop working and you can't fully only rely on Social Security. So you have to supplement your income some way with one of these retirement plans.
Which is stock, by the way, even though, like you said, which 401k, 403b is stock. I mean, I know you told them don't get to the stock yet, but I get what you're saying. It's not on you. But that is stock. But go ahead.
But stock mutual funds.
Mutual. Yeah, exactly. Just a safer. ETFs, things like that.
No. That's baby steps. That's
baby. That's too forward. My bad. I'm going too forward.
Yeah. We're gonna stay in the first year. The 5th thing is you have to have an exit strategy. You need to have a will. If you have 2 nickels to your name, if you have children, you have to tell people who's going to get my kids if something happens to me. Who's going to get my Al Green collection? Who's going to get what? If you have a house, if you have a car, you need to have a will. Spell that out. You have to have a durable power of attorney. If you're ever incapacitated, you can't do some things for yourself, someone needs to do these things for you. And that's powerful, because you need to have it witnessed and notarized. The other thing is your healthcare proxy. If you get hit, if you go to a zoo and a giraffe lands on you, don't go to the zoo tomorrow. If you're incapacitated, put it in writing. My healthcare proxy. Either do whatever you can to prolong my life, or pull the plug. It's your wishes, and you have someone you name who's your healthcare proxy, who understands what your wishes are, and they'll speak to the doctors and abide by those wishes. The last thing is Make sure you have a good exit strategy. Speak to the funeral home directors. Tell them what you want. If you have enough insurance, say, look, I have enough insurance to cover this, or prepay it. Lock it in at today's rates, or get on a payment plan to lock it in on today's rates. And then if you leave 20 years from now, they still got you for today's rates.
Dope.
Love it. Dope. It is dope, man.
This has been wonderful.
I told you, this is my man right here. 50 grand.
I was so excited to talk to you, because it's very seldom that you get people who speak to you on the level that you can understand. People like to show you their education, and you managed to do it in such a profound way that I am completely indebted, because I think this will go a long way to actually get people in the right mindset to understand the importance. Because so often we get economists that talk global economy, and I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out how not to pay $7 for milk. Can you
work with me, please? Help me out. Help me, please, baby, please help me. I'm falling down the stairs. Yeah, you don't want to fall down the stairs, man. No, Bunny. Yeah, I'm Bunny.
Remember Bunny?
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want to fall down the stairs of financial, grit.
But we want to.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. What?
No, I'm just with this stuff that we're doing. What we came together to do is we're trying to help our people to avoid financial pitfalls, like Aunt Bunny falling down the stairs. We want to, but we want to avoid that so we don't hurt ourselves.
I truly appreciate you coming on, because I took so much from this conversation. I took notes. So I have stuff. So when you see me leaning, that's what I was doing. I was jotting down the 5.
Yes, SP. It was funny. Like, I'm like in charge. Like, she gets guests, but I'm mostly in charge of getting the guests. So like, I know how to get the quality. I just know people. I just know good people, and I can tell a good person when I meet him or her. You know what I'm saying? I can tell they're gonna bring quality content to the show. And when I met you, I was like, this is it. This is like a no-brainer. Bring in Nick, man. Let's go, Nicholas. Let's go, man. Let's go. Let's start. Let's talk. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate you too coming to the show and actually speaking the truth, telling us the breakdown. Yes, you're educated. You're probably like one of the smartest men I know. But she said earlier, you broke it down in the simplest terms that we're like, what? That's it? That's all I gotta do? Oh, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's gonna help out not just us, but everybody that watches this video.
And I'm
just calling the credit card companies was a big level of advice, because people like, you gotta lower your credit.
But SP, just don't stop there, because
well, what does that mean? I don't know what are you talking about?
Don't just stop there with the credit, because that's a good gem, and I've been doing that. Once I learned prior to knowing him. Call your phone companies, get the phone bill reduced. Call Netflix or your cable company. Call anybody that you owe a bill to reduce, and say, yo, man, I'm about to go to T-Mobile. Yo, I'm about to go to Verizon. Yo, I'm about to go to. They're like, wait. We got a deal, like you said. We got a deal for you. It just opened up yesterday. They lying, like they always have deals. They can always give you a lower price. So it's not just start with the credit cards. Start with the credit cards, but you know what I'm saying first, because credit cards is important. But this ain't call it. Yo, my friends used to always tell me, yo, Mark, who you call today? Like, cause I always be like, yo, man, I just got free HBO for nine months. They're like, how you do that? I ain't cuss them out. I cussed them out. I called them, talk trash to them. Like, I'm about to Uber go over here. And they're like, what? I said, that's all you got to do. I go, yeah. I do that at the credit card company. My percentage be going low. Sometimes I go to 0. Like, you just never know. Mm-hmm. So, Nick, man, I appreciate it, man. You dropping gems on them like Mobb Deep, man. You dropping jewels.
Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate you guys. And you got me a chance to speak to more people.
Yeah. We're gonna get you some business. We're
I
gonna
hope
have
you
like
come back again.
oh, of course. We're gonna have all your details, all the information you want us to share with you in the description. So like we're gonna talk after this. So you just hit us on an email or text, and we're gonna put everything from your business, from your practice, or whatever you want to share your social media, and we'll get those people to you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
If people want to reach you, just shout out how they can get in touch with you.
Info at vincita.org. vincita.org. Ask a question, share, whatever it is we can help. We typically get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. Any questions you have, or you're interested in some coaching, consulting, or estate planning, or even probate. We have consultants here that do a lot of probate work for families. So you name it. But listen, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed speaking with you. I enjoyed learning from you. All the way, SP speaking all the way from Texas. Thank goodness with video chats makes our world smaller and more tight.
Oh,
but
love it.
I enjoyed you so much, and I hope that we get a chance to have more dialogue and talk about uplifting more of our folks, because I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. All right, this is the formula, and we out. Peace.
Peace.